Hey YouTube. So far I've made 2 videos about myself and MECFS. The first one I introduced myself, and the second one I sort of went over, the definition of the disease. And today I want to talk about the burdens of the disease. And in particular, I want to talk about the psychological burden of the disease. And this is sort of like a touchy subject with this disease because it's been for too long now pegged as, a psychological disease. And, a lot of really observant people have noticed people with MECFS seem to be in poor mental health. And they're right, people with MECFS are in poor mental health, but it's not a mental health disorder. It's because MECFS, it carries a heavy psychological burden. I guess one way to describe it is just, it's a suffering disease. I thought once, like, if a bunch of bioengineers or whatever were in a room and they said, okay guys, time to come up with the perfect suffering disease, and it has to be invisible. They might come up with CFS because it's invisible and it really does make you suffer. It's multi-symptomatic. There's a lot of malaise, there's a lot of fatigue, there's brain fog, sometimes there's pain, there's sleep problems, and it's just really chaotic. It massively reduces one's quality of life. And, for some people it reduces a bit more than others, but all in all, I mean, if there's one thing that everyone with a chronic illness has in common is that the illness always, like, reduces their quality of life, and they develop psychological problems because, I mean, it's hard, it's rough. And so today I sort of wanted to touch on that, and I guess I'll share my personal story with that. I've been sick now for about 2 years, and when I first was getting sick, I was really sort of freaked out, because, like, all of a sudden, my body wasn't, like, functioning properly. I didn't understand how it was possible to be so sick, for such a long time, and sort of have no answers as to why. And I really did feel like, I was alone and that this is how I'd feel for the rest of my life. And so, about maybe 3 months into it, I thought, I started thinking about ending my life. I didn't want to live this way forever. I recognized that, and I still had, I guess, the basic survival instinct to live. So I went to an ER, and, I told them that I was sick and having suicidal thoughts. And they didn't say much, it just, they set me up with a psychologist. And so I started, going to sessions with the psychologist, and, she was a nice lady. I'm sure she's very good at what she does, but we sort of had, the whole time I was in therapy with her, we had sort of like a communication breakdown, because she was trying to help me, but at the same time, she was trying to help me without learning about my disease. I mean, because a bit into my sessions with her, I discovered I had MECFS. So, I told her about it, and she really wasn't that interested, and she tried to sort of help me without knowing the disease. And what I mean by that is, often things she would recommend to me were things I just could not do. Like, I asked her, like, what do I do when I'm feeling really, really down, and, I'm having, suicidal thoughts, and I just feel really sick and terrible. She'd say stuff like, well, go to the movies or something, and, like, that just wasn't an option for me, especially, like, when you're bedridden, you're, like, really, really sick. What we call that in MECFS is having a crash. And sort of when you're having a crash, what you really have to do is like you just have to rest, and you have to sort of like you have to take it. You have to like bite the bullet. Like before, when I was like home from school sick or whatever, you like watch movies and watch TV until you get better, and you go back to school. But with CFS, like if you're sick, like you have to like lay there, and like really rest, and that was sort of new to me, and yeah, and so like you couldn't really distract yourself from how you were feeling like you could before. But anyway, one example of this was she became really keen on like getting me to like get my life back, and so one big focus of our discussions was like, Daniel, you have to go and you gotta watch him. You have to go see a movie with a friend. And so and I wanted to go see a movie with a friend. So I went. I saw Bruno. It was a really funny movie, and like I was feeling terrible the whole day, but like that was really the emphasis. You have to go see that movie. You have to get out of the house. So I went, and when I came back afterwards, I crashed really hard for 4 days, and I was like bedridden for 4 days. And I think I just use that example because it really does highlight the fact that people with this disease, it's not a lack of motivation. In fact, they're very motivated. They'll do stuff even if they know it's going to cause them, physical sickness later because they want to so badly. And people with ME/CFS, a lot of them, yeah, they do need psychological aid because they are in, bad states of mental health. And it's sort of impossible for mental health professionals to assist us unless they really understand their disease, because if they think it's an issue with motivation, or it's sort of like inertia, like we can't get going, it won't really help us because that's not the problem. With ME/CFS, any sort of houseboundness or depression, it's a symptom of the disease. It's not with depression. It's sort of like I'm depressed, I can't get out of bed. With ME/CFS, it's more like I have ME/CFS, and then I can't get out of bed, and then because of that I become depressed. It's reactive depression. And yeah, and sort of I was in therapy with her for maybe like 5 months, and I'd see her like once every 2 weeks or something like that, and it just she was very nice, and she was good at what she did. She actually helped me with a lot of some other things, but we sort of couldn't get past this sort of thing about motivation. And my motivation was there, and she just thought my motivation wasn't. And I think I know because I've spoken to other people about this, that's the big issue with this disease and the medical community, is that they have to realize it's not an issue of motivation. People with ME/CFS are really motivated. I mean, they might suffer reactive depression and become unmotivated, but it really is a symptom, and yeah. Yeah, so that was my like personal story about it. And I guess that's all, because the video's probably dragging on a bit now. Alright,